Welcome to your real estate market update for June 2026. My name is Andy Hawbaker. I'm a realtor in Northern Colorado with Coldwell Banker Realty. And I do these quick videos most months, missed a couple, about the market in Northern Colorado. So we're looking at the most recent data that's available to us, and we'll talk about what it means in the end. So I'm gonna have a few slides just to quickly run through these things, and then we're gonna talk about what this actually means for home buyers and home sellers in Northern Colorado. Okay, so let's dive in here and take a look. First one here is Northern Colorado real estate market median sales price year over year. So for Fort Collins, the median sales price this is actually data from May 2026, was $590,000. That's up 1.9% from the previous year. In Loveland, it was $515,000, which is up 2% from last year. Windsor, $596,800, which is up 4.7%. In Greeley, we saw a small decrease of 0.9% to $428,500. Okay, so number of new listings in Northern Colorado. In Fort Collins, there were 364 new listings, 229 in Loveland, 123 in Windsor, and 188 new listings in Greeley. That's a pretty healthy number of new listings coming on the market, but let's see what that really does. If we look at the next one here, this is the number of closed sales for the month of May 2026. So in Fort Collins, there were 263 closed sales. In Loveland, it was 152, Windsor 119, and Greeley 118. So just to compare that, so that means there were 364 new listings in Fort Collins and only 263 sold in the same time. So 100 more listings on the market than were sold during the month. So inventory is increasing. Okay, so the next one here is the median days on market. So in Fort Collins, you should expect 50 days to sell a house, Loveland 51 days, Windsor 63, and Greeley 48. So it's taking a little bit longer to sell a home. It's not gonna happen immediately, so you need to have some patience there. This one here is the number of showings that you can expect for a listing. So in Fort Collins, you should expect to get 4.9 showings in 1 month. Loveland, 4.3 in a month, Windsor, 3.7, and Greeley, 4.0. So if you're only getting 4 showings a month, you're really only averaging 1 showing a week. So when you come on the market, don't expect you're gonna have crazy amounts of showings because you might only get 1 a week. Okay, and then the number of showings before it goes pending. So this is how many showings on average, actually this is the median number of showings before a property goes under contract. In Fort Collins, that's 9, Loveland 10, Windsor 7, and Greeley 8. So that means if you're only getting 4 showings and it takes 8 to go under contract, it's gonna take 2 months to go under contract in Greeley, which takes you back to those days on market. Makes sense now, doesn't it? Because in Fort Collins, it was 4.9 showings, but it takes 9. So it does take 51 days in Fort Collins, or 50 days in Fort Collins for days on market. So that's how that breaks down. What is going on in the market? It's kind of an interesting time, to be honest. I've had a huge year. This year has been crazy, but I'm feeling the July, we usually get a July slowdown. I'm feeling that hit a couple weeks early, I think. People just kind of burned out, taking a break. Interest rates never really came down. This Iran situation, just, gas prices went up and interest rates went up. We've kind of been bouncing up and down. Fed met last week, didn't have any clear indication. They didn't make any changes, but we're just kind of living in a time where there's a lot of fluctuality and not really sure what's going on. Nothing really strong coming out of the economic news really one way or another. So this kind of low 6s, 6.5, I would say right now, if you can get 6.25 to 6.5, you're doing pretty good. So that's what's going on. That's what slowed down a lot of buyers, I believe. And they're just not out there pounding down the doors to see them out there, to see the new homes. Now, but the other side of this is showings happen, closings happen every day. I'm actually way up from even what I did a year ago. So the market is good. It is a great time to buy, actually, and still a very good time to sell. If you're in the market to buy a home, there's more choice out there than you've seen in a long time. And you can buy now and you can always refinance later, but honestly, it's easy to get concessions if you write an offer with that. So it could be a great time to buy. I've had a few people want to sit out the market and see what happens, especially with townhomes and condos. The prices are so low at the moment. I'll just give you one example. In in Longmont, I've been watching an apartment complex. 1 year ago, last June, I sold I said apartment, it's a condo. I sold one in the complex 1 year ago, last June, and we got $415,000. Now we're looking at I have another client looking at that same, well, not the exact same unit, but in the same complex, the same layout, and asking prices are $375. I think they lowered to $365. That's $50,000 less for the same thing that they got 1 year ago. So it is the prices. I don't want to scare anyone because prices in general, we saw in my slides, have gone up. But in townhomes, they're actually, it's hard to sell a townhome because there's a lot more on the market, and those HOA fees and insurance fees are through the roof. So that's what's going on for buyers. I think it's a great time to start a conversation with me. Reach out. We can get this figured out for you. If you're a home seller, the main thing is you just can't overprice it, because you're not going to get a lot of showings. You've got to price it so that people think it's a good deal. They come check it out. It can sell quickly. If you're in a hot area, say Old Town Fort Collins, Midtown Fort Collins, I'm still seeing multiple offers. There are people going nuts over certain neighborhoods. But once you get further away, if you're in Wellington or Severance or one of the outlier communities, it's going to take a lot longer to get your home sold, and the prices aren't going to be as strong as they've been in the last couple of years. So that's my thoughts on what I'm seeing in the market, and this data helps explain that. Again, my name is Andy Hawbaker. I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker Realty, Northern Colorado. I've got my team, which is the Hawbaker Home Team. I am happy to help home buyers and home sellers all over Northern Colorado. I definitely focus on Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor, Greeley, and Longmont, and surrounding communities. So reach out to me if there's something I can do to help. You can always hit me up at my website, which is www.andyhawbaker.com.